The U.S. Secretary of State says the U.S. will increase political and military support to the Syrian opposition. John Kerry speaking at the Friends of Syria group, which is meeting in Qatar. He said President Assad has escalated the conflict by seeking help from Iran and Lebanese fighters. Kerry didn't address the fact that Qatar has been supporting Syria's rebels and pledging to continue to do so. The FSA military command on Friday claimed opposition fighters have gotten weapons that could change the balance of power. Meanwhile, the UN has rejected Washington's claims that Syria's government used chemical weapons, saying it wasn't convinced. The accusations were followed by a U.S. decision to provide weapons to the rebels. Our Paula Sleer has more.
United Nations experts say that they do not confirm the claims put forward by the United States, Britain and France that the Damascus regime used chemical weapons against the Syrian rebels. They say that despite the fact that these three countries collected evidence on the ground, such as blood, tissue and soil samples, it is inconclusive, and that they will have to send their own investigators to conduct a personal investigation inside Syria. This is what the UN had to say.
We cannot say what the weapons were. We cannot say what the agents were. We don't talk about weapons. We cannot say who used them, and we cannot say how they were even delivered. We cannot say anything concrete.
So you are casting serious doubt into what the West has supplied, the UN. The U.S., the British, the French, they supplied what they say is verifiable proof.
They haven't supplied that to us.
It's important to note that based on these unsubstantiated claims by the United States, Britain and France that Assad used chemical weapons, last week the American President Barack Obama ordered the CIA to start supplying weapons to the Syrian rebels. He said, to quote him, that the Damascus regime had crossed a red line set by Washington. Now, the Russian President Vladimir Putin has reiterated that any supply of weapons to the Syrian rebels is in violation of international law, and he has warned that it will only further destabilize the situation on the ground.
I can barely understand why one would supply arms to the unlawful rebel groups in Syria when we don't even know who those groups consist of. If Washington acknowledges one of the key bodies of the opposition forces, the Al-Nusra Front, as a terrorist organization officially and admits its link to Al-Qaeda, how can they then debate arming that same opposition? Where would those weapons end up?
The point that the Russian president makes, that we do not know who composes the opposition and where these weapons will end up, is a point that is raising concern in the international community. For 27 months, this conflict has been going on, and at this stage, it seems to be showing no signs of letting up. Paulo Pinheiro, RT, on the Israeli-Syrian border.